This is Steve with the field engineering team here at Wallaroo AI, and today we're going to be taking a look at how we can use two Wallaroo deployed LLMs along with the Continue plugin for both VSCode and Intellij to have LLM powered code generation directly in our IDE of choice. In my Wallaroo Operations Center, I can see that I already have my pair of LLMs deployed that I'm going to use for a couple of different capabilities for Continue. The first is my Code Llama 7 billion model that is a more chat-based model geared towards code generation. And I'm going to use this for chat capabilities about my code. I also have deployed here our Starcoder 2 7 billion model, and that model is meant for auto-completion capabilities. And so I'm going to use this to take advantage of Continue's tab completion capabilities. Both of these models are open source and have been packaged and deployed using Wallaroo's Bring Your Own Predict capabilities, which is going to allow me to automatically package up these models and deploy them out on my own hardware, in this case in the cloud, but also on-prem. Now we can take a look over at our VS Code, and we've installed our Continue plugin here. And as with normal usage of Continue, we have a config file that we specify. We've done some customizations to Continue to allow for a few different fields here that are going to allow me to use a Wallaroo deployed endpoint for my models. And so you can see here we have our first field for tab auto completion, and I specify the name of the Wallaroo deployed pipeline that I want to use here, the workspace it's in, my credentials for accessing the instance, so in this case it would be a service account, and the URL for my instance itself. And I fill out the same fields in the model section for my chat-based pipeline and point that one at Code Llama. Now that I have my plugin configured to point at my two Wallaroo deployed endpoints, I can start to use Continue like I normally would. And so I pull up a sample file here where I've started a simple Python class for an example calculator class, and you can see right away those autocomplete suggestions being provided by my Starcoder pipeline that I've deployed. And I'm able to, without really writing any code at all, tab complete a few functions into my class here. Next, I can move over to the chat window that Continue provides, and we can see that Wallaroo is selected as the provider, and this will hit our deployed Code Llama endpoint. And so I ask the model to suggest some additional functionality to extend my calculator class, and I specifically reference the file that the class is in as context for the model. After a couple of seconds, it returns with a full answer and an explanation of what extensions it recommends. And you can see here that it produces valid Python code as output, which I actually copy and paste directly into the class here. Next, I can switch over to Intellij and see that the same Continue functionality is available there. In this case, I'm going to use the chat window to ask my Code Llama model to generate a full version of the calculator class in Java, this time without any context, so that I can see how the model behaves when asking for code from scratch. You can see here it produces a full response in Java and associated explanation, and I can go ahead and use the output directly in my class file here. Once I've completed my testing, I can navigate back to my Wallaroo Operations Center and take a look at my pipeline metrics. This page is going to show me things like the requests per second coming through my pipeline, the inference rate and latency associated with serving those requests, as well as the individual logs for the inferences my LLM is serving. The logging piece allows me to examine individual inference requests and the results that were sent back. This also allows me to take advantage of Wallaroo's LLM listener functionality to correct any unwanted behavior in real time or monitor my interactions my LLM is having with my users at a more macro level to determine its performance. While the logs on this page will allow me to get a sense of how my LLM is performing in terms of the usefulness of its responses, the rest of the metrics on this page will allow me to get a sense of the efficiency of the inference serving for my LLM. This will allow me to experiment and make decisions such as the right amount of hardware to attach to my instance in order to hit my target latency, whether I need to use multiple replicas to concurrently serve requests from multiple different users, or enable more advanced Wallaroo features like Wallaroo's dynamic batching for maximum efficiency. And so today we've seen how the Wallaroo platform allows me to deploy my own LLMs to my cloud or on-prem cluster, how it generates external inference endpoints that can be used directly or integrated with tools like Continue, and how I have a centralized way to monitor the usage, activity, and logs generated by my LLM.